On other hand, I know my worth, and now he calling me. Why do I feel like this? What's happening to me? Oh, oh, oh. Am I ready? Ain't no doubt. Am I ready? What you talking about? Am I ready?
Hi everybody and welcome to the next episode of Steph.mindset Mentor. And today I am back just myself and I'm really enjoying these sort of one-to-one podcasts just as much as having guests on. I just really think it's good because I get to really chat about things, and topics that are like really close to my heart and bring some light and knowledge to YouTube and the world. Podcasts again are something that I absolutely adore watching. I watch podcast after podcast because I just love to hear that, back and forth with people and discussion and things like that. So today I've got a really interesting topic. This topic is on basically not growing up, being sold this lie that we have to grow up and you know we have to grow up and just be so serious and we have so many like responsibilities and racing thoughts and we can't sleep at night and we've just got so much going on as adults. We grow up and we just go, oh my god, what is this adulting thing that we're having to do? And for a lot of us that can cause just so much mundane, heavy, sometimes depressive and anxious feelings because we just do wear the weight of the world on our shoulders sometimes. And what this topic of conversation is about really is about, you know, the essence of getting back to that childlike nature at heart. And I talk about this a lot in my coaching. And it's one of the first things that we actually talk about. And it's how to get back to that childlike state. It's so important. It's so important because I will honestly could talk about this for more than half an hour, but we'll just try and keep it to half an hour. But it's something that when you really sit and deeply think on, you understand the benefits of never losing that side of yourself. And we all have that in us still. We have, we have the divine feminine side, we've got the divine masculine side, and we have our little inner child. And we have all that, and parts of us could be a bit more our masculine at times, we could be more in our feminine at times, but the childlike state is sort of the most important, I think, to never lose sight of. Obviously, through like coaching and therapy, they're often encouraged to go back to their childhood and do this inner child healing work, because essentially all we're trying to do is get back to the root cause of how we felt before anything actually happened to us, before we were able to know what fear is, like fears, irrational fears, conditions, labels, people telling us one thing, people saying that we're this, people saying that we're that. All of these conditions and things that have been placed upon us. So really, like, it's so funny to think like when we get to be adults and we become much more stressed out if we don't really like anchor into our childlike spirit. We we just get so like pissed off and fed up and short and angry and stressed out. And when you think about a child, they're just so free flowing in spirit, and if they're not happy, they're angry in the moment. Like they show us what it's like to you know e- express healthy anger or their needs and wants. Like you will know when a child wants something, and do they care about what they look like when they're doing that? No. But as adults, so many of us, you know We fail to be able to actually express our needs. We suppress them. We become people pleasers. We don't actually express healthy anger, which is so important. There's been many studies to show that if we don't actually express our anger in a healthy manner and we suppress all that, it can actually go on to giving us really, really chronic and bad diseases, you know? It can cause so much repressed cortisol and things just to stick in our tissues to make us ill. Chronic people pleasing will show up in people with lots of different ailments, things like that. So it's very important to remember that as children, they can just let go. They don't really hold grudges for more than a minute. They just forgive and forget. And it's not to say that you should, forget something in your adult life that's very, prominent and important to you. But it is good and it is very healthy to be able to forgive and to move on from things that we perhaps as adults may not be able to get closure to. Children teach us that we should just forgive and let go, because once we forgive somebody, we're not holding on to that pain anymore. And sometimes as adults, we don't get that closure from things that we need. So very important to remember in that childlike manner that they can let things go very easily, and they don't hold on to any resentment or anything like that. So I've got a few little notes just to keep me on track here. So what I've wrote down is children truly embody living in the moment. And for adults, we can find that so hard to do, as I said, because we've got so much going on. We have work, we've got external just worries about so many things, bills and money, and we just let a lot of things pile on top of us. If we embody that child side of us, we can let that stress melt away. One thing I will say is play. We need to remember how to embody play as adults, because as children are often playing and they're so in the moment, they're so engrossed in what they're doing. They never worry about the past. They never worry about, the future. They're just so in that moment. And that is the most powerful place we can ever aspire to be in as humans on this earth, is to be in the moment, because there is really no point in dwelling on the past and what could happen in the future, because we don't know. And then when we do look at teachers as children in that respect, it's, and you think of a child that you know just now, if you can think of a child that you know just now, just try and think, what are they like when they're playing? What kind of things do they embody when they're playing? They're just their truest authentic self in that moment. And kids just are, children are just that truest embodiment of what we should all strive to be back to. It's just that little shiny self that we have lost due to conditioning and layers, like as I said, labels and stereotypes and things like that. Children don't care about any of that. They're just truly themselves. And so with play, play as adults, play is something we as adults, we really do. We get so bogged down with, what we have to do for the day, and everything's so serious when you grow up. And that's partly why I really enjoy working with children, because they literally teach you and keep you in that moment with them. And when I'm observing them and when I'm watching them, they're just, they're like little investigators. They're so creative. They're so creative. They're they're literally just in that moment enjoying it for what it is. Like, you can just see the engagement in what they're doing, and that is where magic happens. when you are engrossed in the moment, when you're lost in that moment and you're being creative and you're playing and you're just truly at peace. Worry and anxiety can't exist in that time. Like they can't exist at the same time. So what play does as well is it connects you back to yourself and it connects you to others in that moment, and it really strengthens the connection to yourself. It brings you back to that source energy. It really helps you to tap into that source energy when we play and when we're being childlike. It's where the moments of, that magic and happiness can occur. Because, like, for example, growing up, with all these stressors and factors like that. And again, what we cover in my coaching is, let's find that version of you, like that true, authentic version of you. And usually that is like the version of us when we were young, and how we can get back to that and how we can strip away all those layers that we don't need, that don't serve us anymore, that are just really getting in the way of our our development back to ourselves and our happiness. You know, that is why doing the work that I've done and being coached and going through all sorts of workshops, and I'm just so interested in how the mind and the body connect, and they are very much working in sync with each other. And I just find it absolutely amazing to see how much people change when they strip back to that authentic self. And we do that on my coaching program, which is the part I love. It's just, watching that process of someone get back to that authentic version of themselves and strip away those layers and conditions and all those things, and really come back to remembering who they are and their authentic selves, and what they were actually here to do, and what it is you actually want to do with your life. Because we lose sight of what is actually like best for us, what is actually the path that we want to take in this life. We live on autopilot so much, like our subconscious just takes over, and it's that part that we really need to rewire. And if we can incorporate more play and more childlike essence back into our lives, we literally can take control and take the reins of our lives again and completely rewrite our story. For me, an example of this is, and it's just absolutely crazy to think, but when I was very young, as I said in the podcast before, I was always this very in tune soul, like very sensitive soul that felt all these things and things like that. And I really connected with animals and, outdoor nature. I still love those things to this day, still love that. And when I'm with these things, I truly am the happiest I can be. Music, growing up, community, friendship, being close. And after going through the period of time in my life where I was going through a bit of a hard time with my mum and dad's separation and things like that. From then on, from being about 15 to only like COVID, and probably a little while after that, I really I shut myself away and isolated myself. So this term I only heard today, actually, but it makes so much sense. It's called self-inflicted trauma. So it's basically like the event that happened to you that you would find traumatic. To other people, it might not seem that bad, but to you, because you've internalized it in such a way, you've then lived the rest of your life acting out this self-inflicted trauma because of your belief system. So I really done that, in those years. Like, that's a lot of years doing this whole self-inflicted ritual upon myself, that I just thought I wasn't good enough. It was my fault. I wasn't lovable. All these things, and when you're young, like, you don't think that. You think like you're so lovable. Like the way children act and express themselves, everybody looks at them in awe and like with smiles and laughs and giggles. And they give children so much attention. You get all that love and affection, and you feel like you're the center of the universe when you're a child, and then you grow up and you forget all that and you feel like a nobody sometimes. And I really truly resonated with that feeling for years and years and years with a self-inflicted trauma, like I'm so happy to have heard that term today, because that's exactly what it is. It really was just me internalizing all this pain, and not to say that what I went through wasn't hard on me, like it a million percent was. For a sensitive person like me with very little resilience, I found it incredibly hard. The things that I seen and went through, I found it very difficult. But I did carry on that trauma to myself, because I just put myself in this experience in my head that this was all my fault, and you know I just can't be good enough. Like, that was the dialogue in my head for all those years. And then when you start to dig deep and deep dive into, the healing work, and if you've maybe had like a dark night of the soul or many, you deep dive into this healing work, and you realize that you are more awake than you have ever been. And it's that coming back to yourself, and that coming back to that inner knowing. And we all know, we all have the answers. And this is the crazy thing, the answers are all inside of us. Sometimes it just takes another person to shed light on a certain thing that makes, like have a breakthrough, makes us go, oh my god, like that's how I felt. And you start to piece things together, but all the answers are here inside of you. And stripping away those layers and coming much more back into my alignment with myself. I would like to do with that with the other hand to show you alignment, but I have a frozen shoulder, so I can't. So, really getting back into that alignment with yourself and your truest form and your truest truth of who you are, and finding that out. And it's such a fun journey, doing that, but it is also very hard. And there's some really deep, dark parts that you need to go into to be able to heal. You need to revisit these things and work through them, because so many people have had things happen and they just go, oh, I'm fine, I've dealt with it, I don't need therapy, I don't need this, I don't need that, I'm fine. But I guarantee you it will show up somewhere in their lives, and there'll be a part of them really not living truly to who they are and what they want to do, because there's always going to be that little part, and we can't help it. It's literally ingrained in our subconscious. When things like this happen, a little bit of self-doubt, and that materializes into so many ways, different things that we don't even realize that we're doing, because again, we only work 5% from our conscious brain, which is so scary. But yeah, as I was saying, taking all these layers off and things like that, and really falling into alignment with my purpose, and realizing that coaching is what I want to do. Coaching, being coach myself, has made me realize that I have these gifts, and being this sensitive person, being this sensitive child, that as I grew older, I really tried to push away and, not align with, because I was embarrassed. And now, only until recently, I've really been embodying that sensitive soul, that HSP, highly sensitive person, that isn't actually a very large percentage of the world, that has this. So I look at it now as a gift. Like, this sensitive person is now showing me where to go as an adult. And I can only see that by stripping away everything and getting back to that center and back to that little inner child and who I really am at my core. And I believe that we all came into this world programmed with what we were supposed to do. We all have it. I think it was all written out, but we just have to listen and know. But so many of us are so we're just not at a place where we're ready to, take the awareness. We might not have the awareness, but even question, is there more for us in this life? And we just, we get so bogged down in life and, this rat race and capitalism and all these things that we are programmed to think and believe that this is normal. It's just not normal. It's not normal. And I refuse to accept that we work ourselves to death and down to the bone so that we can then retire and have no energy, no nothing, no want to even do anything with ourselves because we've worked for all this time, worked ourselves so hard, excuse me, worked ourselves to death near enough all of our lives, because someone has just decided that that is the way to live. Like, and as I become more into alignment with my true self, and I didn't know, as I said in previous podcasts, why this obsession with Costa Rica came up for me. I didn't know why. I just knew it looked beautiful, but there was this pull when I was watching this couple on YouTube that do the yoga. They live there, and the backdrop was Costa Rica. And I was just like, what is this pull, this insane pull to this place that is calling me, that is literally calling me. And the more that I delved into this and made the vision board and the money aligned and I booked the trip and I went in May, and I realized I was always supposed to come here and to come to this exact spot in the Caribbean, because you have no idea how many people randomly who I met there and people that I'm getting to know now, different coaches. Another coach actually told me the other day when we were voice noting that Costa Rica is a vortex, and she's like the third person to use that word. It's a vortex for healing, for shadow work. I did not know this. I did not know any of this. It was just somewhere that I think maybe aligned with, the things that I like yoga, obviously nature, love animals, and it just looked beautiful. But I did not know that that was why I was being called. And when I went in May for those 2 weeks, there was this shift in energy for me. And it was like this knowing even more that I had to come back again and come for longer and immerse myself more in this culture with these people, with this community, because that is exactly what Puerto Viejo is like. It's community, it's family, it's like a sisterhood and brotherhood. There's workshops constantly on for, deep healing and connection and really just finding out like our true life's purpose and becoming the best and highest version of ourselves so that we can enjoy our life authentically and aligned to what we actually want. And this takes a lot of guts, to do this. Like, this hasn't been an easy decision for me. I'm having to give up my home. I'm having to give up my job. But there is a bigger picture for me that is in this knowing now that it goes back to this childlike sense of what I felt when I was young and that rebellious side. And it's leading me from that place now. And it's, yeah, this is in alignment with me. And I don't want to settle for this, capitalist world where we have to do this and that and that and that and that. I want to fully immerse myself in alignment with things that I like, because why not? We live once and we should be making the most of it, and we should be doing what we want to do. And aligning back to your truth is when we will hear our path and we will start to know what we're here for and what we're meant to do. So for me, it's going over there to really immerse myself in play, connection, you know, outdoors, being outdoors, food just growing in trees, like I am so in line with that. I just believe that life can be so minimal and we actually don't need a lot. when we think about it. We can have such a beautiful, meaningful, rich life with next to nothing in it. You know, it's the experiences that we want. The people over there live so free. You know, there's not big buildings over there. Everything looks kind of like little wooden shacks and cabins and things like that. And it's just so beautiful. And people make handmade crafts and crystals and jewelry and clothes. And it's just a very creative and beautiful space to be. And I can't believe that that has always been in the stars for me. Almost, it's almost been in my, it's almost been written out for me. That was the plan all along, and all I had to do was surrender and just listen to myself and get back into that alignment. But I believe in divine timing, and you're meant to reach the path of what is best for you, when is right for you, if that ever is your calling to do so. And I just hope that these podcasts can help to wake some people up into, you know, questioning their life and questioning what else is out there more, and believing that everybody is meant to have a beautiful life with rich, amazing experiences, and we aren't meant to be so bogged down. We aren't meant to be so stressed out. This is just the matrix, this is just what's been programmed for us, that keeps us online and keeps, everything going. But we actually don't have to conform to these strict rules of life, like, if it's not what we align with. And if you do align with that, then that's great. And a lot of people do find comfort in that structure and things like that. A lot of people are very, you know, driven to want to, work up companies and things like that and up the ladder. And that's great if that's what you love to do. And you should always do what you love. But I'm speaking to the people more that they can feel this void in their soul and they know that there's something more for them. Perhaps they don't believe that they're worth it. And that's why I coach people, and that's why I do the vision board workshops. It's to get people into alignment with their true self and that playful side. Because if I didn't listen to that playful, sensitive side that I'm now back in alignment, I wouldn't have started going for this dream of mine, which is to go and visit Costa Rica. And then look what has happened off the back of that. I'm going back now to live there, to have a chance to live there for a while and see what comes out of that. And it's just going to be such a magical time filled with lessons and people that I haven't met yet that are just going to, you know, ascend, help me ascend higher and higher and higher, because that's what happened the last time I was there. I just met so many people with such great words and advice that made me question so much when I got back home and made me rethink so much. And it just propelled me on this journey that I'm on. It made me want to even more. And yeah, what I'm saying is, don't buy the lie that the world is selling you to grow up. And, you know, I'm not telling everybody to move to Costa Rica. That's obviously my journey. I'm just saying, there is more out there to life. And if we can incorporate this amazing childlike sense of being authentic at our core and what we really are at our core, and remembering that, and just embodying that sense of freedom. That's the most important feeling, I think. It's the most important thing in this life, is to feel free and really be you. Like, that is why we're here. It's to learn about us. It's to learn about us and what we're here to do. And children in that childlike sense, and getting back to that, is really what's going to help us get there. And I love this quote so much. I can't remember exactly who said it, but it says, "We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing." And literally, like, if we surround ourselves with, people with that young sense of spirit and who are playful and who don't take themselves so seriously and who are just got that juice and vibrancy for life. It brings it out in us and it's so infectious. And it tends to, these people tend to really have slowed their aging process down as well, if you notice that. People who laugh more, who genuinely are just more childlike in essence, they look younger. It literally stops that aging process. Like, it stops it from going as quickly because you're pumping, like genuine happy hormones into your body. There's not much cortisol going on there. And that shows in your skin, in your hair, in your body language, everything. One more thing I think to say is when we are in that childlike state, it helps us to manifest our deepest, dreams and desires into reality, because when we are in that, we are creative, everything's in flow, everything's in harmony, we're not worried. That brings forward our creativity and our manifesting powers, because we are in that really high vibe, when we're in that channeled energy. And that's when we can see more clearly the things that are meant for us. We just have to listen. And yeah, if anyone wants a little help and advice on what, my coaching program can do, and how that can help you in your journey and how you can take that to the next level, then I'll put a little link in my description, and you can see where to contact me on. And I look forward to the next podcast, because I have an amazing guest on, an amazing, amazing guest. I am so excited to host her on the podcast. She has been a dream mentor for me. Really, really love this lady's energy. I can't wait to have her on. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning in and joining me, and have a blessed day.